Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Science Journey. Tonight, we will be wandering through one of nature's most mysterious and enchanting realms, a world that exists both above and below the surface of the earth, where silence speaks in whispers of spores and ancient networks pulse beneath our feet. We will be exploring the fascinating, soothing world of mushrooms, those quiet companions of the forest floor, those gentle decomposers that turn endings into beginnings, and those mysterious organisms that blur the lines between plant and animal, between individual and community, between visible and hidden. As you settle into this peaceful journey, allow your breathing to slow and deepen. Let the weight of the day dissolve like morning mist over a mossy log. If you enjoy these gentle explorations into the natural world, I invite you to like and subscribe. It helps others find their way to these quiet moments of learning and rest. But for now, simply let yourself drift along with these soothing facts about mushrooms and allow the gentle rhythm of discovery to carry you towards sleep. The mushrooms you see growing on a forest floor are only the smallest visible part of something much, much larger. When you observe a mushroom pushing through fallen leaves or emerging from the bark of a tree, you are witnessing just the fruiting body, the reproductive structure of an organism whose true form spreads invisibly through the soil beneath your feet. Think of it this way: if a mushroom were an apple, then the vast network underground would be the entire apple tree, its trunk, its branches, and its root system, all hidden from view. This underground network is called mycelium, and it consists of countless thread-like structures called hyphae, so fine and delicate that they resemble gossamer silk woven through the darkness of the soil. These hyphae are extraordinarily thin, often measuring just a few micrometers in diameter, finer than a strand of spider silk. Yet they possess remarkable strength and persistence. They weave through particles of soil, wrapping around grains of sand, penetrating through pockets of air, seeking out sources of nutrition in a patient, methodical exploration that never ceases. The mycelium grows outward in all directions, creating an intricate three-dimensional web that can span enormous distances. In some cases, a single mycelial network from one fungal individual can spread across several acres of forest floor, connecting trees, plants, and other organisms in ways that scientists are only beginning to understand. This hidden world beneath our feet is alive with quiet activity, a realm of communication and exchange that operates on timescales both rapid and ancient. The mycelium does not simply exist in the soil. It actively shapes and transforms its environment. As the hyphae grow and branch, they secrete powerful enzymes that break down complex organic materials into simpler compounds. These enzymes can dissolve the tough cellulose that forms plant cell walls, can dismantle the lignin that gives wood its strength and rigidity, can transform dead and decaying matter into nutrients that other organisms can use. In tropical rainforests, approximately half of all dead plant and animal material is broken down by fungi, a staggering contribution to the recycling of nutrients that keeps these lush ecosystems thriving. Without fungi performing this essential work, dead trees would accumulate endlessly, fallen leaves would pile higher and higher, and the nutrients locked within this dead matter would remain inaccessible to living plants. The forest would slowly choke on its own abundance, unable to renew itself. But fungi do not work alone in this process. They are part of an intricate community of decomposers that includes bacteria, insects, and other organisms, each playing their role in the great cycle of decay and renewal. Yet fungi are uniquely suited to breaking down the toughest materials, the woody stems and branches that bacteria cannot easily digest, the resilient compounds that resist ordinary decomposition. Through their patient, persistent work, fungi transform death into possibility, endings into new beginnings, and in doing so, they maintain the health and vitality of ecosystems around the world. There is something deeply peaceful about this process, something that speaks to the fundamental rhythms of nature. The mushrooms that appear on the forest floor are not separate from the trees around them or the soil beneath them. They are part of an interconnected whole, a living system in which every element depends on every other element, in which nothing is truly wasted, in which every ending is also a beginning. As you breathe slowly and deeply, consider the quiet work of fungi happening all around us, unseen but essential, patient but powerful, transforming the world one molecule at a time. Fungi occupy a unique position in the tree of life, one that surprised scientists when they finally understood the relationships between different groups of organisms. For many years, fungi were classified as plants, a reasonable assumption given that mushrooms grow from the ground, remain in one place, and seem to share many characteristics with the plant kingdom. But as scientists developed new techniques for analyzing the genetic relationships between organisms, they discovered something unexpected. Fungi are actually more closely related to animals than they are to plants. This revelation fundamentally changed how we understand these mysterious organisms. The split between fungi and animals occurred roughly 1 billion years ago, when their last common ancestor, a single-celled organism that lived in ancient oceans and propelled itself through the water with a whip-like flagellum, gave rise to two lineages that would eventually evolve into the diverse forms we see today. One lineage led to animals, from the smallest insects to the largest whales, from sponges to humans. The other lineage led to fungi, from microscopic yeasts to the massive underground networks that spread across forests. Despite their very different appearances and lifestyles, fungi and animals share fundamental aspects of their cellular chemistry, their genetic organization, and their metabolic processes. Like animals, fungi are heterotrophs, meaning they cannot produce their own food through photosynthesis. They must obtain nutrients by consuming organic material, whether that material is living or dead, whether it consists of plants or animals or other organisms. Fungi digest their food externally, secreting enzymes into their surroundings, and then absorbing the resulting nutrients through their cell walls, a process fundamentally different from how animals digest food internally. Yet this shared need to consume organic material rather than manufacture it from sunlight places fungi and animals in the same broad category of life, distinct from the photosynthetic plants and algae that form the foundation of most food chains. The discovery of this relationship between fungi and animals reminds us that the boundaries we draw between different forms of life are often more fluid and surprising than they first appear. Nature does not organize itself according to our expectations or our convenient categories. Instead, it presents us with a rich variation of forms and strategies, of solutions to the challenge of staying alive and reproducing, of ways to interact with the environment And with other organisms, fungi represent one such solution, one that has proven remarkably successful across hundreds of millions of years of evolution, one that has adapted to nearly every habitat on Earth, one that plays essential roles in ecosystems from the deepest ocean floors to the highest mountain peaks. As you continue to relax, breathing slowly and evenly, let this knowledge settle gently into your mind. The fungi around us are not simple plants growing from the soil. They are complex, sophisticated organisms with their own evolutionary history, their own unique characteristics, their own essential roles in the web of life. They are distant cousins to us, sharing an ancestor that lived in ancient seas, diverging onto a different path but carrying with them traces of that shared heritage, those fundamental similarities that unite all complex life on Earth. Scientists currently recognize approximately 100,000 species of fungi, a remarkable diversity that includes everything from the familiar mushrooms that appear after rain to the microscopic yeasts that ferment bread and beer, from the black mold that grows on forgotten leftovers to the species that produce life-saving antibiotics like penicillin. Yet this impressive catalogue represents only a tiny fraction of the true diversity of the fungal kingdom. Researchers estimate that there may be as many as 1.5 million to 3.8 million species of fungi on Earth, meaning that the vast majority remain undiscovered, unnamed, and unstudied. Entire worlds of fungal diversity exist in the soil beneath our feet, in the bark of trees, in the depths of oceans, waiting to be found and understood. This hidden diversity reflects the incredible adaptability of fungi and their ability to colonize nearly every habitat on Earth. Fungi thrive in humid forests where they fruit prolifically on fallen logs and tree stumps. They grow in arid deserts where they lie dormant during dry periods and spring to life when rare rains arrive. They live in the frigid soils of polar regions where they break down plant material during brief summer thaws. They inhabit the scalding hot springs where they survive temperatures that would kill most other organisms. They grow in the deep ocean where sunlight never reaches, on the hulls of ships, in the space between tiles in your bathroom, inside the digestive systems of animals, and even in the cooling systems of nuclear reactors. Wherever organic material exists, wherever conditions allow even minimal growth, fungi have found ways to survive and even thrive. Some fungi are so small that they consist of single cells, like the yeasts that have been used by humans for thousands of years to leaven bread and ferment beverages. These microscopic organisms measure only about 10 micrometers across, roughly 1/10 the width of a human hair. Yet they possess all the complex cellular machinery necessary for life. Other fungi produce fruiting bodies the size of dinner plates, massive mushrooms weighing several pounds, spreading across broad areas of forest floor or tree bark. Still others form thin, powdery coatings that spread across surfaces like paint, barely visible to the naked eye, yet extending over large areas. This remarkable range of forms and sizes reflects the many different strategies fungi have evolved to survive, reproduce, and spread into new habitats. Some produce massive numbers of spores that are carried away by wind to potentially germinate far from their parent organism. Others form structures that attract animals, which consume the fruiting bodies and disperse spores in their droppings. Some rely on water to carry their reproductive cells, while others forcibly eject their spores into the air, launching them with remarkable precision and force. Each strategy represents a solution to the fundamental challenge faced by all organisms: how to ensure that their genetic material continues into future generations, how to colonize new territories, how to adapt to changing conditions. The diversity of fungi also reflects their incredibly long evolutionary history. Fossil evidence suggests that fungi appeared on Earth at least 600 million years ago, possibly earlier. They were among the first organisms to colonize land, forming partnerships with early plants that helped these pioneering species extract nutrients from barren rock and primitive soils. As plants evolved and diversified, fungi evolved and diversified alongside them, developing new strategies, new forms, new relationships. The fungi we see today are the descendants of these ancient lineages, carrying within them genetic information that has been refined and tested across hundreds of millions of years. As you rest here, breathing gently, allow yourself to feel a sense of connection to this vast, hidden diversity. The fungi around us represent an enormous wealth of life, most of it invisible, most of it unknown, yet all of it playing essential roles in the functioning of ecosystems. Each species, whether discovered or not, whether common or rare, contributes its unique abilities to the great work of decomposition, transformation, and renewal that keeps our world alive and vibrant. One of the most remarkable abilities possessed by many fungal species is their capacity to form partnerships with plants, relationships so intimate and essential that neither partner can thrive without the other. These partnerships, called mycorrhizal associations, involve the mycelium of fungi interweaving with the roots of plants in an exchange that benefits both organisms. The plant provides the fungus with sugars produced through photosynthesis, compounds rich in carbon that the fungus cannot make on its own. In return, the fungus provides the plant with water and mineral nutrients extracted from the soil, substances like phosphorus and nitrogen that the plant needs, but often struggles to obtain in sufficient quantities. These mycorrhizal relationships are not rare exceptions in nature. They are the rule. Scientists estimate that between 80 and 90% of all vascular plants on Earth depend on mycorrhizal fungi for their survival. From the smallest wildflowers to the mightiest trees, from agricultural crops to forest giants, the vast majority of plant species have evolved to rely on these fungal partnerships. The roots of these plants are not simply exploring the soil on their own. They are colonized, inhabited, and extended by fungal hyphae that reach far beyond what the plant's own root system could ever achieve, effectively multiplying the plant's ability to access resources by many times. There are different types of mycorrhizal associations, each with its own characteristics and benefits. In ectomycorrhizal relationships, common in temperate forests, the fungal hyphae form a sheath around the outside of plant root tips and penetrate between the cells of the root cortex, creating an intricate interface for exchange of nutrients. In arbuscular mycorrhizal relationships, which are especially common in grasslands and tropical forests, the fungal hyphae actually penetrate into the cells of plant roots, forming tiny tree-like structures called arbuscules, where the exchange of nutrients occurs. These different strategies reflect different solutions to the same basic challenge: how to create an effective partnership in which both organisms benefit. The network of mycorrhizal fungi does not simply connect one plant to its fungal partner. A single fungal individual can associate with multiple plants, and a single plant can associate with multiple fungi, creating an underground web of connections that links many organisms together. Scientists have discovered that trees in a forest are not isolated individuals competing solely with one another. Instead, they are members of a community, connected through mycorrhizal networks that allow them to share resources, communicate changes in their environment, and support one another through difficult times. Researchers have found that when a tree is attacked by insects, it can send chemical warning signals through the mycorrhizal network to nearby trees, which then begin producing defensive enzymes to protect themselves against the same threat. Older, well-established trees, sometimes called mother trees, have particularly extensive networks of mycorrhizal connections and seem to play important roles in supporting younger saplings growing in shaded areas where photosynthesis is difficult. These mother trees can transfer nutrients and sugars to the saplings through the fungal network, helping them survive until they grow large enough to access more sunlight. Some researchers even suggest that trees can recognize their own kin through the mycorrhizal network and may preferentially support their relatives, though this remains a subject of ongoing research and debate. This interconnected underground network has been given various names, including the mycorrhizal network and the more poetic Wood Wide Web, a reference to the way the system resembles a biological internet connecting many individuals into a larger whole. While some claims about these networks have been debated among scientists, particularly regarding how much material actually transfers between plants and the mechanisms by which such transfers occur, there is clear evidence that mycorrhizal networks play important roles in forest ecology, that they facilitate movement of water and nutrients, and that they may allow forms of communication between plants that were not previously recognized. Consider the peaceful implications of this discovery. The forests around us are not battlegrounds where every tree fights desperately against every other tree in a struggle for survival. They are communities, interconnected systems where cooperation and mutual support exist alongside competition, where established trees help young saplings, where warning signals travel through underground networks, where the health of one individual is linked to the health of the whole. This vision of the forest as a cooperative network rather than a competitive arena offers a different way of thinking about nature, one that emphasizes connection, interdependence, and mutual benefit. As your breathing continues slow and steady, imagine the quiet communication happening beneath the forest floor right now, at this very moment, as you rest. Fungal hyphae reaching out to touch plant roots, sugar molecules flowing one direction, phosphorus flowing the other, chemical signals traveling through networks of connection, trees supporting saplings, entire communities linked together in relationships that have evolved over millions of years. This is happening everywhere, all the time, a hidden world of partnership and exchange that sustains the green world we see above ground. Perhaps the most astonishing fact about mushrooms concerns not their visible fruiting bodies or their hidden networks, but rather the sheer size that some individual fungi can achieve. In the Malheur National Forest in eastern Oregon, scientists have identified what may be the largest single living organism on Earth. a honey mushroom of the species Armillaria ostoyae that spreads across approximately 2,385 acres, roughly equivalent to 1,665 football fields or nearly 4 square miles. This immense organism has been growing for thousands of years, with estimates suggesting it could be between 2,400 and 8,650 years old. Most of this gigantic fungus exists underground, hidden from view, spreading through the soil as an enormous network of mycelium, the black, root-like structures called rhizomorphs that characterize this species can extend for miles through the forest floor, seeking out the roots of trees to colonize. When the fungus is ready to reproduce, it sends up clusters of honey-colored mushrooms from the bases of infected trees, the only visible sign of the vast organism spreading beneath the surface. These mushrooms are the fruiting bodies through which the fungus produces and disperses spores, temporary structures that appear in autumn and then decompose, while the mycelium continues its patient growth underground. The sheer scale of this organism challenges our normal assumptions about what constitutes an individual. We think of individuals as distinct, separate entities with clear boundaries. But this fungus consists of a network of hyphae that are all genetically identical, all derived from a single spore that germinated thousands of years ago, all working together as parts of a unified whole. Scientists confirmed that this vast network was indeed a single individual by collecting samples from many locations across the affected area and comparing their DNA. Every sample showed the same genetic pattern, indicating that they all belonged to the same organism. If you tried to weigh this enormous fungus, estimates suggest it could weigh anywhere from 7,500 to 35,000 tons, potentially making it heavier than 200 grey whales. Yet because it exists primarily as microscopic threads spreading through soil, you could walk across its entire extent without realizing you were treading on the surface of a single massive organism. Only the scattered clusters of mushrooms appearing in autumn would hint at the vast entity beneath your feet. This honey mushroom grows so large partly because of the way it feeds. It parasitizes living trees, attaching its mycelium to tree roots and drawing water and nutrients from the host. The fungus grows all the way around the base of infected trees, cutting off the flow of nutrients and water between roots and crown, effectively strangling the tree. This process can take many years, even decades, so infected trees may continue growing and appearing healthy for a long time before finally succumbing. As trees die, the fungus continues to inhabit their root systems and the surrounding soil, maintaining itself in dead woody material for many additional years, patient and persistent. While this particular specimen in Oregon is the largest known individual, similar large fungi have been discovered elsewhere. In northern Michigan, researchers identified another honey mushroom, a different species called Armillaria gallica, that covers approximately 37 acres and weighs about 440 tons. This individual is estimated to be at least 1,900 years old, possibly older. The discovery of these massive fungi sparked scientific debates about what truly constitutes an individual organism, discussions that continue today as researchers try to understand the nature of identity and boundaries in organisms that exist as vast networks rather than discrete bodies. There is something deeply calming about contemplating these ancient, massive organisms. They grow so slowly that you could watch one spot for your entire lifetime and never see any visible change. Yet over centuries and millennia, they transform the forest around them. They have persisted through countless seasons, through droughts and floods, through fires and storms, maintaining their slow, patient growth beneath the surface, invisible but essential, quiet but powerful. They remind us that some of the most significant forces in nature operate on timescales that dwarf human experience, that the earth is patient, that life finds ways to persist across unimaginable spans of time. As you rest here, breathing deeply and evenly, imagine the vast mycelia spreading beneath forests around the world, these ancient giants that have witnessed the passage of centuries, that connect trees and soil in networks older than civilizations, that continue their quiet work of decomposition and renewal, unnoticed by the creatures walking above them, essential to the functioning of ecosystems, patient and enduring. Among the many fascinating abilities possessed by some mushroom species, perhaps none is more magical and mysterious than the capacity to produce light. Approximately 70 to 130 species of fungi are bioluminescent, meaning they can generate their own glow through chemical reactions occurring within their cells. This phenomenon has been observed and wondered at for thousands of years. The ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle described what he called a cold fire emanating from woods, a light that was unlike any flame, producing luminescence but not heat. The Roman thinker Pliny the Elder wrote about glowing wood in olive groves, wood that seemed to shine with an eerie green light in the darkness. This mysterious glow, often called foxfire or fairy fire, has captured human imagination across cultures and centuries. The name foxfire may come from the old French word faux, meaning false, a reference to the deceptive nature of this light that resembles fire but is cool to the touch. Throughout history, people have found practical uses for this natural luminescence. Scandinavian travelers reportedly used pieces of glowing wood to mark trails through dark forests, allowing them to find their way back home on moonless nights. Indigenous peoples in North America used bioluminescent fungi as natural light sources. During the American Revolution, the crew of an early submarine called the Turtle used foxfire to illuminate the needles on their barometer and compass, taking advantage of this reliable natural light that required no flame or fuel. The bioluminescence of fungi results from a chemical reaction involving several key compounds. A molecule called luciferin combines with oxygen in the presence of an enzyme called luciferase, producing a molecule called oxyluciferin and releasing energy in the form of light. This process is remarkably efficient, with nearly all the energy being converted to light rather than heat, making it far more efficient than a traditional incandescent light bulb, which wastes 90% of its energy as heat. The light produced by fungi is typically a soft, greenish-blue color, though the exact shade can vary somewhat between species. Different bioluminescent mushrooms glow in different patterns. In some species, only the cap or gills produce light. In others, only the stem glows. Some species emit light from their entire fruiting body, while others produce bioluminescence mainly in their mycelium, the underground network of hyphae, causing entire fallen logs or tree trunks to glow with an ethereal light that seems to emerge from within the wood itself. The intensity of the glow also varies. Some bioluminescent fungi produce only a faint shimmer, barely visible even in complete darkness. Others glow brightly enough that people have reported being able to read by their light, though this requires very dark conditions and time for eyes to fully adjust to the darkness. Several species of bioluminescent fungi are found in North America. The honey mushroom, the same genus that includes the enormous individual in Oregon, can display foxfire, with its mycelium glowing softly in decaying wood. The jack-o'-lantern mushroom, named for its orange color and nighttime glow, is perhaps the most famous North American bioluminescent species. These mushrooms grow in clusters at the bases of trees and stumps, and in darkness, their gills emit a greenish light that can be quite striking when encountered unexpectedly. The bitter oyster mushroom, found growing on dead hardwood logs and branches, produces a gentle glow that appears as small spots or streaks of light on the wood. The ghost fungus, found in Australia and other regions, glows brightly enough to be photographed with reasonable exposure times. Scientists have puzzled over the purpose of fungal bioluminescence. Why would a mushroom produce light? Recent research suggests that at least some bioluminescent species use their glow to attract insects at night. These insects may then help spread the fungus's spores, serving as tiny flying vehicles that transport reproductive cells to new locations. Scientists tested this hypothesis by creating artificial mushrooms, some lit with green, light-emitting diodes, matching the color and intensity of fungal bioluminescence. Others left unlit as controls. They placed these artificial mushrooms in forests and coated them with sticky resin. When they examined the mushrooms later, they found significantly more insects trapped on the illuminated models than on the dark controls, supporting the idea that the light attracts potential spore dispersers. Other theories suggest the glow might serve as a warning to potential predators, indicating that the mushroom is toxic or unpalatable, much as brightly colored animals often use their conspicuous appearance to advertise their dangerous or distasteful nature. Some researchers have proposed that bioluminescence might help the fungus manage toxic levels of oxygen produced during the process of breaking down wood, with the light-producing reaction consuming excess oxygen before it can damage fungal cells. The true purpose may involve multiple factors, and different species might use their bioluminescence for different reasons. What remains certain is the wonder and beauty of encountering bioluminescent fungi in nature. To walk through a dark forest and suddenly notice a soft green glow emanating from a fallen log, to see a cluster of ghost white mushrooms shimmering in the darkness, to observe the delicate tracings of light where mycelium has colonized dead wood, creates an experience that feels almost otherworldly, as if you have stepped into a fairy tale or discovered a secret that nature has been keeping. The light is gentle, quiet, patient, glowing steadily night after night, visible only to those who take the time to let their eyes adjust to darkness, only to those who seek it out or happen upon it by chance. Modern researchers use sophisticated equipment to study and photograph bioluminescent fungi, but the basic experience of encountering foxfire requires nothing but darkness, patience, and luck. The mushrooms glow brightest during the night, with their light-producing enzymes and compounds reaching peak levels according to circadian rhythms. If you find a glowing mushroom and take it home, it will typically continue to glow for 40 to 50 hours before the light fades. Some people have placed glowing mushrooms in jars, creating temporary natural lanterns that cast a soft, eerie light. As you rest here, imagine walking through a dark forest at night. Your eyes have adjusted to the darkness, allowing you to see shapes and shadows. Then, in the distance, you notice a soft glow emanating from the base of a tree, a green shimmer that seems to pulse gently in the blackness. You approach slowly, carefully, and discover a cluster of mushrooms, their gills glowing with a light that seems to come from another world. You stand there in the quiet darkness, watching this ancient magic, this light that requires no fire, no electricity, just the patient chemistry of living cells, transforming molecules into photons. The forest around you is silent, except for distant sounds of wind and small creatures moving through leaves. The glowing mushrooms continue their quiet work, spreading their light into the darkness, as they have done for millions of years, as they will continue to do long after you have gone. Throughout history, humans have discovered that certain mushroom species possess remarkable properties that promote health and healing. Long before modern medicine, traditional healers in various cultures used mushrooms to treat ailments, boost vitality, and enhance overall well-being. Archaeological evidence suggests that mushrooms have been used medicinally for thousands of years. Ötzi, the Iceman, a remarkably well-preserved mummy discovered in the Austrian Alps and dated to approximately 5,300 years ago, was found carrying two species of polypore mushrooms. One, the tinder fungus, could have been used to start fires, but the other, the birch polypore, is known for its medicinal properties and was likely carried for its ability to treat intestinal parasites or other ailments. In traditional Chinese medicine, mushrooms have held places of honor for millennia, prescribed for their abilities to support the immune system, promote longevity, and restore balance to the body. Ancient texts describe reishi mushrooms with their distinctive fan-shaped multicolored fruiting bodies as herbs of immortality, substances so precious they were reserved for emperors and their families. Practitioners of traditional Chinese medicine believed that reishi could promote calmness, enhance meditation, support healthy aging, and tonify the qi, the vital life force that flows through all living things. Similarly, lion's mane mushrooms, named for their distinctive appearance with long white spines that resemble a lion's mane or a cascading waterfall, were used to tonify the body and improve digestion. Modern scientific research has begun to investigate these traditional uses, seeking to understand the chemical compounds that give certain mushrooms their medicinal properties and to test whether these substances can truly benefit human health. While research is ongoing and many questions remain, studies have identified several mushroom species with promising therapeutic potential. These medicinal mushrooms contain various bioactive compounds, including polysaccharides, especially beta-glucans, which appear to support immune function, as well as triterpenes, phenolic compounds, and proteins with various biological activities. Reishi mushrooms, known scientifically as Ganoderma lucidum, have been the subject of extensive research. Studies suggest that compounds in reishi may help modulate the immune system, potentially enhancing the body's ability to respond to pathogens while also reducing excessive inflammation. Researchers have found that reishi contains polysaccharides and triterpenes with antioxidant properties, meaning they can help protect cells from damage caused by unstable molecules called free radicals. Some studies suggest that reishi may help reduce stress and promote more restful sleep, possibly through effects on the nervous system. Animal studies and early human trials have investigated reishi's potential to support heart health, manage blood sugar levels, and reduce symptoms of lower urinary tract problems, though more research is needed to confirm these effects and understand the mechanisms involved. Lion's mane mushrooms, or Heritium erinaceus, have attracted particular interest for their potential effects on brain health and cognitive function. This mushroom contains compounds called hericenones and erinacines, which laboratory studies suggest may stimulate the production of nerve growth factor, a protein essential for the growth, maintenance, and survival of neurons. Animal studies have found that lion's mane extract may help protect against neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, potentially by reducing the accumulation of harmful protein plaques in the brain and supporting the regeneration of nerve cells. Small human studies have reported improvements in cognitive function among older adults with mild cognitive impairment who consumed lion's mane, though these effects disappeared when supplementation stopped, suggesting ongoing consumption may be necessary to maintain benefits. Research has also explored lion's mane's potential effects on mood and mental health. Small studies in humans have found that lion's mane supplementation may reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression, possibly by supporting the function of the hippocampus, a brain region involved in processing memories and emotional responses. One study of menopausal women found that eating cookies containing lion's mane daily for 1 month reduced self-reported feelings of irritability and anxiety. Another study with overweight individuals reported improvements in symptoms of depression and anxiety, along with better sleep quality. While these results are encouraging, researchers emphasize that larger, more rigorous studies are needed to confirm these effects and determine optimal dosages. Beyond effects on the brain and immune system, lion's mane has shown potential to support digestive health. Studies in animals suggest it may help protect against ulcers in the stomach and intestines by regulating gut bacteria and reducing inflammation. A study of people with ulcerative colitis found that taking a mushroom supplement containing 14% lion's mane extract significantly reduced symptoms and improved quality of life after 3 weeks. Research also suggests lion's mane may have beneficial effects on heart health, potentially by improving fat metabolism and reducing triglyceride levels in the blood, both of which are risk factors for cardiovascular disease. Other medicinal mushrooms under investigation include cordyceps, traditionally used in Chinese and Tibetan medicine to support lung and kidney function and boost energy, turkey tail, which contains polysaccharides that may enhance immune function, chaga, which grows on birch trees and is rich in antioxidants, and shiitake, which has been studied for its potential to support immune health and provide various nutrients. Each of these species contains unique compounds that may offer health benefits, though research on most remains in early stages. It is important to note that while medicinal mushrooms have been used safely for thousands of years in traditional medicine, and while modern research suggests they may offer genuine health benefits, they should be approached thoughtfully and with realistic expectations. Most research has been conducted in laboratory settings or with animals, and human studies have often been small or of limited quality. Individual responses can vary considerably, and medicinal mushrooms should not replace conventional medical treatment for serious conditions. Some mushroom supplements may interact with medications or cause side effects in certain individuals. Traditional preparations typically used water extracts of dried mushrooms, and some research suggests this may be the safest approach. Anyone considering medicinal mushrooms should consult with healthcare providers, especially if they have medical conditions or take medications. What we can say with confidence is that certain mushrooms contain remarkable compounds with biological activities that humans have recognized and utilized for millennia. These organisms, which spend most of their existence as invisible networks in the soil, which lack organs and nervous systems, which seem so simple and passive, nonetheless produce complex molecules that can interact with our bodies in beneficial ways. They offer us gifts of potential healing, substances that may support our immune systems, protect our brains, calm our minds, and enhance our overall health and well-being. This knowledge adds another layer of appreciation for these remarkable organisms, another reason to view them with wonder and respect. As you continue to rest, breathing slowly and deeply, imagine the medicinal compounds present in mushrooms, the polysaccharides and triterpenes, the hericenones and erinacines, molecules shaped by millions of years of evolution, structures perfectly suited to interact with the chemistry of human cells. These substances exist not for our benefit, but as part of the mushroom's own life processes. Yet we have learned to use them for healing, creating connections between our species and theirs, partnerships that span thousands of years of human history and continue into the present. The reproduction and dispersal of mushrooms represents one of nature's most elegant solutions to the challenge of spreading genetic material across landscapes. Unlike plants, which produce seeds containing stored nutrients and protective coatings, fungi reproduce primarily through spores, microscopic particles so small they are invisible to the naked eye, so light they can float on the gentlest breeze, so numerous that a single mushroom can produce billions of them. These spores are the wanderers of the fungal world, the explorers that venture out from the parent organism in search of new places to grow, new resources to exploit, new territories to colonize. Spores are remarkably tiny, typically measuring between 3 and 12 micrometers in diameter. To put this in perspective, a micrometer is 1/1,000,000th of a meter, and a typical spore is smaller than a single human cell. Thousands of spores could fit on the tip of a pencil. Yet despite their minuscule size, spores contain all the genetic information necessary to grow a new fungal organism. When conditions are favorable, when a spore lands on a suitable substrate with adequate moisture and nutrients, it will germinate, sending out tiny filaments called hyphae that begin to explore their surroundings, seeking food and growing into the network of mycelium that represents the main body of the fungus. The quantities of spores produced by mushrooms are almost incomprehensible. A typical medium-sized gilled mushroom can release approximately 20 billion spores over 4 to 6 days, a rate of about 100 million spores per hour. The common bracket fungus, which forms the shelf-like structures often seen growing on tree trunks, can produce 350,000 spores per second, totaling 30 billion spores per day, and roughly 4,500 billion spores in a single season. Giant puffballs, those globe-shaped mushrooms that can grow larger than basketballs, may release quantities of spores numbering in the trillions. These vast numbers increase the chances that at least some spores will land in suitable locations where they can germinate and grow, compensating for the fact that the overwhelming majority of spores will fall in places where they cannot survive. Mushrooms have evolved numerous strategies for releasing and dispersing their spores. Many species use a mechanism involving what scientists call ballistospore, in which mature spores are forcibly ejected from their attachment points. In gilled mushrooms, the most familiar type, the gills are covered with specialized cells called basidia, each of which produces spores. When a spore is mature, a small droplet of fluid called Buller's drop condenses near its attachment point. The surface tension of this droplet, combined with other forces, creates a catapult effect that launches the spore away from the basidium at remarkable speed, sending it into the airspace between the gills. The ejection distance is tiny, perhaps a fraction of a millimeter, but this is enough to clear the spore from the gill so that gravity can pull it down and out from under the mushroom cap, where air currents can catch it and carry it away. These air currents may be provided by wind, but remarkably, mushrooms can also generate their own airflow to aid in spore dispersal. Researchers discovered that mushrooms actively manipulate their environment to create convective currents. The mushroom allows water to evaporate from its surface, which both cools the mushroom and creates water vapor in the surrounding air. Cool air is denser than warm air and tends to sink and flow outward, while water vapor is less dense than air and tends to rise. Together, these effects create tiny currents that help lift spores away from the mushroom and into the broader environment. This lifting effect can carry spores up to 10 centimeters horizontally and vertically, enough to clear obstacles and reach more persistent air currents. This self-generated wind allows mushrooms to disperse spores effectively, even in sheltered locations on the forest floor where natural breezes may be minimal, where fallen logs and thick vegetation block the movement of air, where passively waiting for wind would be an ineffective strategy. Other mushroom species use different dispersal mechanisms. Puffballs accumulate their spores inside their round fruiting bodies and release them through an opening at the top when the structure is compressed by raindrops or bumped by passing animals, creating characteristic puffs of spore-laden smoke. Birds' nest fungi produce cup-shaped structures containing small packets of spores that resemble eggs in a nest. When raindrops strike these cups with sufficient force, the spore packets are splashed out and can stick to vegetation, where they may be eaten by animals and dispersed in droppings. Stinkhorn fungi produce their spores in a foul-smelling slime that attracts flies and other insects, which consume the slime and carry the spores to new locations. Some species forcibly eject their spores in other ways, shooting them out at high speeds or squirting entire spore-containing structures through the air. Dispersal distances vary enormously, depending on the method used and environmental conditions. Some spores may land just meters from their parent mushroom. Others can be carried for kilometers by strong winds, crossing valleys and mountains to colonize distant forests. Under exceptional conditions, fungal spores can even travel thousands of kilometers, with wheat rust spores, for example, being documented traveling up to 2,000 kilometers through the atmosphere. Once airborne, spores can remain aloft for extended periods, drifting in atmospheric currents, waiting for the chance to descend to Earth in a place where they can germinate and grow. Not all spore dispersal involves wind. Some fungi rely on animals to carry their spores. Truffles, those prized culinary delicacies, grow entirely underground and produce intensely aromatic compounds that attract mammals like pigs, which dig up the fruiting bodies and consume them. The spores pass through the animal's digestive system unharmed and are deposited in droppings some distance away, often in locations ideal for fungal growth. Many mushroom species growing on dung rely on being eaten by herbivores, with their spores surviving digestion and being deposited along with nutrients that support fungal growth. Insects may carry spores on their bodies after visiting mushrooms, inadvertently transporting these microscopic passengers to new locations. Even humans play a role in dispersing fungal spores, carrying them on clothing, tools, and vehicles, sometimes introducing fungi to new regions far from their original ranges. The entire process, from spore production to dispersal to germination to growth of new mycelium and eventually new fruiting bodies, represents a cycle refined over hundreds of millions of years of evolution. Each species has evolved strategies suited to its particular habitat and lifestyle, whether that means producing enormous quantities of tiny spores to be scattered by wind, creating structures that attract specific animal dispersers, or generating chemical signals that guide spores to suitable substrates. The result is a global distribution of fungi, with species adapted to nearly every environment, ready to colonize any suitable habitat, breaking down organic matter, forming partnerships with plants, and maintaining the cycles of decay and renewal essential to ecosystem function. There is something meditative about contemplating this process, the quiet release of billions of invisible spores, the patient waiting as they drift through air, the chance germination when conditions align, the slow growth of new mycelium spreading through soil or wood, the eventual production of new mushrooms that will themselves release billions more spores to continue the cycle. This happens constantly, everywhere, in every forest and field, in every season, a perpetual rain of potential falling from the air, most of it failing, but some of it succeeding, maintaining the global community of fungi that shapes our world in ways both visible and hidden. As you rest here, imagine the spores floating invisibly around you even now. Every breath you take likely carries fungal spores into your lungs, where your body safely filters them out. Every surface around you probably bears countless spores that arrived there, carried by air currents, waiting for conditions that will allow germination. The air itself is full of these microscopic travelers, these tiny packets of genetic information seeking their fortune in the world, these silent wanderers whose journeys continue day and night, season after season, year after year, across landscapes and across continents, connecting all places where fungi grow, maintaining the web of fungal life that spans the entire planet. Among the countless ways humans have used mushrooms throughout history, one of the most ancient and universal involves growing food. Long before people understood the biology of fungi or knew how to identify edible species reliably, they were cultivating mushrooms, harvesting them from the wild, and incorporating them into their diets. Archaeological evidence suggests that humans have consumed mushrooms for tens of thousands of years, drawn by their flavors, their textures, their nutritional value, and in some cases, their mind-altering properties. Today, mushroom cultivation represents a substantial global industry, with species like button mushrooms, shiitake, oyster mushrooms, and others grown commercially in quantities measured in millions of tons annually. Edible mushrooms offer various nutritional benefits. They provide protein, typically containing between 10 and 30% protein by dry weight, making them valuable protein sources, especially in cuisines where meat is limited. They contain fiber, vitamins, including several B vitamins and vitamin D when exposed to sunlight or ultraviolet light, and minerals like selenium, potassium, and phosphorus. They are low in calories and fat, making them attractive to people seeking to maintain healthy weights. Different species offer different flavors and textures, from the delicate taste and tender consistency of button mushrooms to the rich, meaty quality of portobello mushrooms, from the slightly fruity, almost seafood-like flavor of lion's mane to the earthy intensity of morel mushrooms. Beyond their use as food themselves, fungi play essential roles in creating many other foods through fermentation. Yeasts, those single-celled fungi, are responsible for leavening bread, creating the bubbles that make dough rise and give bread its light, airy texture. The same organisms ferment sugars in grape juice to produce wine, in grain mashes to create beer, and in various other contexts to generate the alcohol that humans have consumed for thousands of years. Various filamentous fungi are used to create fermented foods, including soy sauce, tempeh, and miso. Specific molds are essential for producing certain cheeses, with Penicillium roqueforti creating the blue veins in blue cheese, and Penicillium camemberti forming the white rind on camembert and brie. These fungal fermentations transform raw ingredients through enzymatic action, breaking down complex molecules, creating new flavors and aromas, and in many cases improving nutritional value or digestibility. Yet not all mushrooms are safe to eat. While many species are edible and delicious, others are toxic, sometimes severely so, and distinguishing between them requires knowledge, experience, and careful attention to detail. Every year, people are poisoned by mushrooms they mistakenly believed to be safe, sometimes with fatal results. The difficulties of mushroom identification are compounded by the fact that some edible and toxic species closely resemble each other, that the same species may look different at different stages of development or in different environmental conditions, and that reliable identification often requires examining multiple characteristics, including spore color, gill attachment, presence or absence of rings or cups, and other subtle features. Some of the most dangerous mushrooms belong to the genus Amanita, which includes species responsible for the majority of mushroom-related deaths worldwide. The death cap mushroom, Amanita phalloides, produces toxins that destroy liver and kidney cells, with symptoms often not appearing until significant damage has already occurred. By the time a person realizes they have been poisoned, 12 to 24 hours after eating the mushroom, the toxins have already begun their destructive work and treatment options are limited. Other dangerous species include false morels, which contain compounds that can cause serious liver damage, certain small brown mushrooms that are difficult to distinguish from harmless species but contain deadly amatoxins, and various others that cause symptoms ranging from gastrointestinal distress to kidney failure to neurological problems. Foraging for wild mushrooms is a beloved hobby for many people, a way to connect with nature, to find free food and to enjoy the thrill of the hunt. But it requires serious education, careful study of identification guides, ideally mentorship from experienced foragers, and unwavering caution. The old saying captures this perfectly. There are old mushroom hunters and bold mushroom hunters, but no old, bold mushroom hunters. One common mistake made by novice foragers is confusing delicious chanterelle mushrooms with toxic jack-o'-lantern mushrooms. While both are orange, chanterelles have a more muted, yellowish color. False gills that are merely wrinkles along the stem rather than true gills, and caps that cannot be detached from the stem without tearing. Chanterelles typically grow singly or in small scattered groups on the ground, while jack-o'-lanterns form large clusters at the bases of tree stumps. Learning these distinctions can be the difference between a delightful meal and a trip to the emergency room. For most people, purchasing mushrooms from grocery stores or farmers markets where cultivated species are sold offers the safest way to enjoy mushrooms as food. Commercial mushroom cultivation allows people to enjoy reliable, safe mushrooms year-round without the risks associated with foraging. Yet for those willing to invest the time to learn proper identification, wild mushroom foraging can provide not only food, but also a deeper connection to forests and fields, a heightened awareness of seasonal changes, and the satisfaction of finding and harvesting food growing in its natural habitat. There is something deeply grounding about the human relationship with mushrooms as food, a relationship that stretches back into prehistory, that links us to our ancestors who also walked through forests seeking these fruiting bodies, who also learned which could be safely eaten and which must be avoided, who also felt the satisfaction of finding a cluster of choice edible mushrooms and bringing them home to cook. This relationship continues today in millions of kitchens around the world, in the simple act of slicing mushrooms into a pan, in the rich aromas that fill the air as they cook, in the flavors they add to soups and stews and countless other dishes, in the quiet gift they offer us of their substance, their nutrients, their essence transformed through preparation into nourishment for our bodies. As you rest here, breathing gently, perhaps you remember the taste of mushrooms you have eaten, the earthy flavor, the tender texture, the way they absorbed the flavors of whatever they were cooked with while contributing their own subtle taste. Perhaps you can imagine the forests where wild mushrooms grow, the careful search among leaves and logs, the delight of discovery, the knowledge passed down through generations about which species to seek and which to avoid. This connection between humans and mushrooms, this relationship of caution and appreciation, of knowledge and respect, continues to nourish both body and spirit. Some mushrooms offer gifts beyond nutrition or medicine, substances that affect consciousness and perception in profound ways. These psychotropic or psychedelic mushrooms contain compounds, primarily psilocybin and psilocin, that interact with serotonin receptors in the brain, creating altered states of consciousness characterized by changes in perception, thought, and emotion. Various cultures around the world have used these mushrooms in spiritual and ceremonial contexts for thousands of years, recognizing them as sacred substances that could facilitate communication with the divine, provide insights into the nature of reality, offer healing for psychological and spiritual ailments, and mark important life transitions. In Mesoamerica, particularly among the Aztec and Maya peoples, Certain mushroom species were used in religious ceremonies and were considered flesh of the gods, sacred substances that allowed communication with the spirit world. Spanish conquistadors documented these practices and attempted to suppress them, viewing them as pagan rituals contrary to Christian teaching. Yet the traditions persisted in some communities, passed down through generations, preserved in secret despite persecution. In the 1950s, Western researchers learned of these practices and began studying the mushrooms and their effects, initiating decades of research into psychedelic compounds and their potential therapeutic applications. The primary active compound in psychedelic mushrooms, psilocybin, was isolated and synthesized in the late 1950s by Swiss chemist Albert Hofmann, who also famously first synthesized LSD. Throughout the 1960s and early 1970s, researchers conducted numerous studies investigating psilocybin's effects and potential therapeutic uses, particularly for treating addiction, depression, and anxiety. However, as psychedelic compounds became associated with counterculture movements and recreational use, political and social pressures led to their prohibition in most countries, and research largely ceased for several decades. In recent years, there has been a renaissance of scientific interest in psychedelic mushrooms and their therapeutic potential. Modern studies, conducted under carefully controlled conditions with rigorous methodology, have found that psilocybin-assisted therapy may help people with treatment-resistant depression, anxiety associated with terminal illness, addiction to tobacco or alcohol, and other psychological conditions. The experiences induced by psilocybin appear to allow some people to gain new perspectives on their lives, to process difficult emotions, to feel increased connection with others and with nature, and to experience reductions in symptoms that persist for months after treatment. Researchers emphasize that therapeutic benefits appear to come from supervised sessions, where trained therapists help people prepare for the experience, guide them through it, and help them integrate insights afterward, rather than from simply taking the substance alone. These mushrooms contain powerful compounds that must be approached with respect and caution. The experiences they induce can be profound and meaningful, but also challenging and potentially distressing, particularly for unprepared users or those with certain mental health conditions. Set and setting. The mindset of the person taking the substance and the environment in which they take it profoundly influence the nature of the experience. The legal status of psilocybin mushrooms remains restricted in most places, though some jurisdictions have begun decriminalizing them or allowing their use in therapeutic contexts. Anyone interested in these substances should understand the legal risks, psychological risks, and the importance of proper preparation and guidance. What seems clear from both ancient practices and modern research is that these mushrooms produce experiences that people often describe as among the most meaningful of their lives, experiences that can shift perspectives, reduce fear of death, increase feelings of interconnection, and provide insights that persist long after the acute effects have faded. That such profound effects can come from consuming a fungus, from ingesting the fruiting body of an organism that spends most of its life as microscopic threads in the soil, speaks to the remarkable chemistry of these organisms and the complex ways that fungal compounds can interact with human neurobiology. This is yet another dimension of the relationship between humans and mushrooms, Another way these organisms have touched human culture and consciousness. From ancient ceremonies to modern therapy rooms, from sacred traditions to scientific investigations, psychedelic mushrooms occupy a unique place in the long story of human interaction with fungi. A story that continues to unfold as we learn more about these remarkable substances and their potential to heal and transform. As we near the end of our gentle journey through the world of mushrooms, it feels appropriate to reflect on the many facets of these remarkable organisms we have explored together. We have wandered through hidden mycelial networks spreading beneath forest floors, connecting trees and plants in vast underground communities. We have contemplated organisms so large they span thousands of acres, and so old they have lived for thousands of years. We have marveled at mushrooms that glow with their own light, creating foxfire that seems to belong more to fairy tales than to the natural world. We have discovered how fungi break down the toughest materials, returning nutrients to the soil, maintaining the great cycles of decomposition and renewal, without which ecosystems could not function. We have learned about medicinal mushrooms that may support our health, their compounds refined through millions of years of evolution, their potential to protect our brains, strengthen our immune systems, and promote our overall well-being. We have explored the remarkable ways mushrooms reproduce and spread, releasing billions of microscopic spores into the air, spores that drift on currents of wind or ride in the bodies of animals, seeking new places to germinate and grow. We have considered how humans have harvested mushrooms for food throughout history, how we have learned to distinguish edible from toxic species, how we have cultivated them and used them to create fermented foods. We have touched briefly on those mushrooms that alter consciousness, that have been used in ceremonies and healing for thousands of years, that science is now investigating for their therapeutic potential. Through all of these explorations, certain themes emerge. Mushrooms are not simple organisms. They are not merely passive growths sprouting from the ground. They are sophisticated, complex, and active participants in the ecosystems they inhabit. They form partnerships and networks. They communicate through chemical signals. They manipulate their environments. They have evolved countless strategies for survival and reproduction. They perform essential work that keeps forests healthy, that allows plants to thrive, that ensures nutrients continue to cycle through living systems. Perhaps most importantly, mushrooms remind us that much of what matters in nature is hidden from view, that the most significant processes often occur underground or on microscopic scales, that patient observation and careful study are required to understand the true complexity of the living world. When we see a mushroom growing on a log, we are seeing only the smallest, most temporary part of an organism that may stretch for acres beneath our feet, that may have lived for centuries or millennia, that is connected to other organisms in ways both known and still being discovered. This hidden complexity exists everywhere in nature, waiting to be noticed, waiting to be appreciated, waiting to teach us that things are always more intricate and more wonderful than they first appear. There is comfort in this knowledge, comfort in understanding that nature operates on its own timescales, pursuing its own purposes, following patterns refined over immeasurable spans of time. The mushrooms that appear after autumn rains, that glow softly in dark forests, that spread their spores on every breeze, that feed trees through mycorrhizal networks, that slowly, patiently break down fallen logs will continue their work regardless of human concerns or human awareness. They existed before we arrived and will likely continue long after we are gone. They are part of something larger than any individual organism or any individual species, part of the great living system that is Earth's biosphere, that vast interconnected web of life in which every element depends on every other element, in which fungi play essential roles as decomposers, as partners to plants, as food for animals, as creators of soil and renewers of nutrients. Understanding mushrooms, even a little, helps us understand our place in this larger system. We too are participants, not separate observers. We too depend on the cycles of decay and renewal, on the partnerships between organisms, on the quiet work happening beneath our feet. The mushrooms we see remind us to look more carefully, to ask questions, to appreciate complexity, to feel wonder at the ordinary miracles happening all around us constantly, mostly unnoticed, essential and beautiful and strange. As this journey comes to a close, as your breathing continues slow and deep, as sleep begins to approach like a gentle tide, let these images and ideas settle into your mind like spores falling through still air. Imagine the vast mycelia spreading through soil in the forests around the world. Imagine the bioluminescent glow of foxfire in a dark wood. Imagine ancient honey mushrooms, thousands of years old, continuing their patient growth beneath the surface. Imagine spores drifting on wind, carrying the potential for new life. Imagine mycorrhizal networks linking trees together, creating communities where we once saw only individuals. Imagine medicinal compounds shaped by evolution, waiting to offer their gifts of healing. Imagine all the hidden complexity, all the patient processes, all the remarkable abilities possessed by these organisms that we call mushrooms. The world is more mysterious and more wonderful than we often remember. Mushrooms help us remember. They show us that magic is real. If we understand magic as the ordinary processes of nature, revealing unexpected beauty, complexity, and connection, they show us that some of the most important things are invisible, that patience is rewarded, that cooperation matters, that death and decay are not endings, but transformations that enable new life. They show us that we are surrounded by miracles, that we walk above vast hidden networks, that the air we breathe carries countless invisible travelers, that the forests around us are communities bound together by relationships we are only beginning to understand. If you have enjoyed this peaceful exploration of mushrooms, I hope you will return for future journeys into the gentle sciences, future wanderings through the natural world, future opportunities to learn and wonder and rest. There are so many more stories to tell, so many more corners of nature to explore, so many more ways to discover that the world is full of quiet marvels, waiting to be noticed and appreciated. For now, though, it is time to let go. The mushrooms will continue their work whether we think about them or not. The mycelium will keep spreading, the spores will keep drifting, the foxfire will keep glowing, the cycles will keep turning, and you can rest, releasing the need to understand everything, accepting that some mysteries remain mysterious, allowing yourself to simply exist in this moment, breathing, peaceful, drifting gently towards sleep. Let your body grow heavy and still. Let your thoughts slow down and fade. Let the images of mushrooms and forests, of glowing lights and hidden networks, of ancient organisms and microscopic spores all blur together into a soft haze that no longer requires attention or analysis. Let it all go. Let yourself go. Let sleep come naturally, easily, as it wants to, without effort or resistance. The mushrooms are there. The forests are there. The cycles continue, and you are here, safe and comfortable, warm and relaxed, drifting now into the peaceful darkness of sleep, where dreams may carry echoes of bioluminescent glows and whispering mycelium, where you rest and renew, just as the forest rests and renews, where you are part of the great cycle of rest and activity, sleep and waking, endings and beginnings. Good night. Let yourself sleep. The mushrooms will still be there when you wake. Good night.